Good day and welcome to this VCSP how-to video. My name is Arjen Hensemans, I work as a cloud system engineer for Veeam, and in this video I'm going to tell you all about our Veeam Cloud Connect repository features. So with Veeam Cloud Connect Backup we are creating cloud backup repositories. Those cloud repositories are located on a normal Veeam backup repository, and each cloud repository is presented to a specific customer or tenant. The normal Veeam repository that's being used can be any Veeam repository that we can configure in the Veeam setup. So Veeam Cloud Connect was designed from the ground up for multi-tenant hosting. So segmenting a single backup repository into one or more cloud repositories, each for its own specified tenant and with specific resource allocations and expiration date for each tenant. So in the example below you see customer A, B and C each getting their own cloud repository that resides on a single Veeam backup repository. That Veeam backup repository can be just a standalone repository like you're used to with normal Veeam, but of course that can be a scale-out backup repository, which makes it a little bit easier for scale, which comes back to later in the demo. So the scale-out backup repository can be used, and just a small recap: direct attached storage with NTFS, X3 or ReFS or XFS, and also a NAS system exported as NFS or SMB. All those normal repositories will go together in the scale-out backup repository, and you get one backup job storage location. We have other videos that explain more in depth about our scale-out backup repository, but just a small recap. Also, for Cloud Connect, the same rules apply as for normal Veeam backup and replication. You can use the performance tier, and of course you can use the capacity tier as well. So we can do copy and move backups to an S3 or S3 compatible Microsoft Azure Blob, IBM Cloud, or even Google Cloud Platform, depending on your business needs, your customers' business needs, and how you are running your business with Cloud Connect. So let me show you how that works with the cloud repositories in a small demo. So here you see the Veeam Cloud Connect backup server. So on this Cloud Connect backup server we have created a backup repository 1, a backup repository 2, and a Wasabi S3 compatible backup repository. We have added those three to the scale-out backup repository. Also on this backup server we have an old normal backup repository, so that's where the old backups were residing. What we then did is we are going to the Cloud Connect section of Veeam Backup and Replication. We just added our customer 1, and after we have created the normal Veeam backup repositories, normal repository or scale-out repository, we are going to make a cloud repository that is specific to, in this case, customer 1, tenant customer 1. So we have some options from bandwidth, we'll cover that later, and then we go to the backup resources. So what we normally do here, we press add. Let me press edit for now. We give the cloud repository a friendly name. So in this case I have given it the name Cloud Repository Henselmans Lab. We select on which backup repository that cloud repository will store its backups. So in this case it's the scale-out backup repository. We enable a user quota and we're off. We press OK. The same goes for the other repository, because that's my old repository, and in this case it resides on the old normal backup repository with a user quota as well. Then we have a checkbox here that keeps deleted backup files for an X amount of days. I will come to that later in the demo. We have some other option as well that's not applicable for this demo, so I will skip them and just press finish first. In this case I will not apply all settings. So customer 1 has all its backup resources set up. So let's go to customer 1. So in this case, here is customer 1. We go to backup infrastructure, service providers. We'll add the Cloud Connect connection to our service provider. So in this case, that's just the URL, cloudconnect-hanselmans.info. We fill in the customer credentials, customer 1 and its password. After we have done that, we can go to the backup repository section, and we will see we have two repositories here. Cloud repository Hanselmans Lab, like I showed you what we configured, and the old cloud repository Hanselmans Lab. What we now can do is we go to Home, we go to Backup Copy, we can create backup copy jobs to Cloud Connect. So for example, let me edit this one, backup copy to VCC, we do it immediately. In this case, we've added a job or a specific VM, we press next, and the target here is the cloud repository Hanselmans Lab. We can also specify different repositories, of course, but in this particular example, we want to have the backup landed in the cloud repository of Cloud Connect. We specify the retention policies, all the other stuff. We have other videos for that as well if you want to know more about all those settings. We press finish and we are starting a backup copy. The same goes for the other job, some other VMs in, going to the cloud repository Hanselmans.lab. So let me show you, let's get back to the Cloud Connect server, how that looks on disk. So we have two folder structures here. So we had backups, customer 1, backup to Cloud Connect. So that job we just specified, which transfers data to Cloud Connect. And here we have backups to the other extent of my scale out. And just you can see, we are balancing some workloads between those two extents. So the domain controller goes to extent 1 of the scale out backup repository, and also a Linux server, and the SQL server in the job will go to the other extent, as you can see. So we have multiple customers, all those customers get separated by logical folders on which the customers can't access. Only you from service provider perspective can access those folders because it's your physical repository. So let's get back to insider protection. You already saw the checkbox in my demo. Keep deleted backup files for an X amount of days. It's our deleted backups protection, or otherwise called as insider protection. It's a per tenant setting, so you can enable it on one tenant and disable it for the other. And what happens when a tenant goes into their own VBR server, so Veeam Backup and Replication server, and deletes data on the cloud repository. What happens then is that the data is being moved to the recycle bin folder. And the data in the recycle bin folder doesn't count for quota, and to restore the data, the tenant must contact the service provider. There are, of course, some rules that are applicable on insider protection. So in this example, we are only using 7 days without synthetic full weekly backups. What then happens, so for in this example, if you have enabled 14 days of backup retention, we start with a full backup file. We make incremental backup files because you haven't enabled weekly fulls. And on the insider protection, we have selected to keep and store only 6 days of backups. When the customer is deleting all their data, everything gets destroyed and only the last 6 backups get into the recycle bin, as is demonstrated here with the light pink color. So in this case, you will not be able to restore data from the recycle bin. We can restore the 6 individual VIB files, but without the full file, we are not able to restore the data. That's why we have a little warning here. That's a default warning. You can disable that if you want that, but the warning will tell you that the service provider has implemented backup files protection, and to protect you against certain attack vectors, that it's necessary to have multiple full backups on disks. So for example, if you create a job like this, so start 7 days, weekly full backups, depending on how your schedule looks, you can enable weekly full for multiple weeks or even months and years. And after that, what then happens is that we are creating full backup files, synthetic, on a weekly basis. And when we are deleting the last 6 or 7 backups, perhaps it's more wise to store 7 backups in the recycle bin, we will be able to restore the most recent backups from the insider protection recycle bin. So let me show you in a demo how that looks on disk. So let's get back to our customer 1. As you can see, within the backup resources part, I have enabled keep deleted backup files for 7 days. This is where you set this up. You can do that on a per tenant basis. Let me go to the customer VBR. So we already saw some backup copy jobs going to Cloud Connect. And what happens then is that we get backups into the cloud, and we see some backup jobs here. I have more than one backup job going to Cloud Connect, but we'll just cover this one. So let me see, we have some VMs here that resides on the cloud repository. So let me just simply delete this data. I'm a hacker, or I'm not that smart, but so I will check all checkboxes and press yes. What now happens is that those backup files get deleted on the Veeam Cloud backup repository. But because I have enabled the insider protection, data gets moved to a different folder instead of being deleted. Let me wait for a couple of seconds here. As you can see, deleted and done. Now those backups are gone. I can't restore from them. Let's go to the Cloud Connect server. Let me get to disks. So here we have the same path: data, backups, and there is a little folder underscore recycle bin. And within underscore recycle bin, you get subfolders of each of your tenants. And let's go to customer 1. Let's go to the backup copy job to VCC, backup job VMware. And here you can see are my VM backups that got deleted. What I now can do is copy all these files, so these Veeam full backup files, Veeam incremental backup files, to a specific disk, give them to the customer, to the end customer. The customer can import those backups and they can do a restore coming from the backup files. That's how easy it is. After an X amount of days, backups get deleted out of the recycle bin. That's why it's important to store backups for multiple days in the recycle bin. If you are afraid that you can't see the allocation that is being used in the recycle bin, please use our service provider console, which is able to see the allocation of the recycle bin on a per tenant basis, so that you can do some billing to your end customer regarding the usage of the recycle bin. That's how easy it is. So, some final information on some repository operations specific to Veeam Cloud Connect. The first thing to discuss is how to migrate to a scale-out backup repository when using Veeam Cloud Connect. So, to migrate to a scale-out backup repository with just a normal Veeam backup and replication server, it's pretty straightforward. We create a new scale-out backup repository, we add those existing backup repositories as an extent there, and we're done. Veeam backup and replication will automatically adjust the existing backup jobs and files and point those to the new scale-out backup repository. But for Cloud Connect, it works a little bit different. As Cloud Connect has an extra structure for multi-tenancy, you can't do that directly with Veeam Cloud Connect. So to migrate to a scale-out backup repository when using Cloud Connect, you need to contact Veeam support, as we have a script that will map the folder structures of the tenants to the folders on the scale-out backup repository. There's also a different way of doing this, and that's what I was showing you in the previous demo. It's possible that you add an empty scale-out backup repository to Veeam Cloud Connect. Then you go to your tenants and give them all a new cloud repository that resides on that scale-out backup repository. What you then do is you will contact your tenants and tell them that they will have a couple of weeks, days, months to migrate to the new cloud repository and to abandon the old repository. What then happens is that during time the old data will expire and the new data will reside on the scale-out backup repository. But then there is help needed from the end customer, from the tenant. So if you don't want that, or if you aren't able to do that, please contact Veeam support, because we can help in migrating your existing standalone backup repositories, cloud backup repositories, to a scale-out backup repository. One other thing to discuss is maintenance and sealed mode. So perhaps some of you who are already working with a scale-out backup repository know that we have a maintenance and sealed mode. And there are some differences between the two. But the things they have in common is that whatever option you choose, maintenance mode or sealed mode, we will trigger an active full backup. So when we put something in maintenance mode or in sealed mode, when a new backup copy is being performed, then the new backup copy will be an active full backup. The differences between sealed mode and maintenance mode is that with sealed mode you can still access the data. So you are still able to do a restore, but new backups will automatically be performed on a different extent and will be an active full. So how does that work? So for example, extent 1 and extent 2 of a scale-out backup repository. So we create a full backup on Monday, some incrementals on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and then the extent is being placed into maintenance mode. What then happens with the first new backup run, which would be an incremental probably, but in this case it will trigger an active full backup. So Thursday is an active full backup. Then Friday, Saturday and Sunday. You still will be able to read the data of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and of course Thursday, it comes from extent 1. If you need data that comes from extent 2, you read it from extent 2. So why use the one and why use the other, or why do you want to use both maintenance and sealed mode? So with maintenance mode you can evacuate backups as soon as possible, so we move the backups between those extents, but it will produce some high I/O depending on the storage system that runs beneath the backup repository. With sealed mode you can simplify repository migration. You don't put extra load on storage that perhaps is dying, so that is slow or has an underlying issue, because you leave the backups there and you just leave it there until it ages out. So, but both options require you to have an active full backup. What you can do, of course you can do both, so do it with sealed mode first and after that go to maintenance mode, and that gives you the opportunity to finalize the migration, so the leftover GFS backups will be copied to the other extents. Of course we have some other scale-out backup operations as well, so manually move backup files to and from a scale-out backup repository. We have a KB article for that, that's KB article 2236, but that's not applicable to Cloud Connect. For Cloud Connect we have a different KB article, that's KB article 3100. So if you want to move manually backup files between scale-out backup extents. But for the PowerShell people among us, we also have a nice PowerShell commandlet for tenant evacuation. It's called Start VBA Cloud Tenant Backup Evacuation. You can find it in the Veeam Backup PowerShell reference guide. So let's switch over to the last demo and show you how this is working for maintenance and sealed mode. So we are back on our Cloud Connect server. As you can see, I have a couple of repositories. You already saw the backup repository 1 and 2 and the capacity tier, and we have the old repository. So without contacting support and migrating with a script to a scale-out backup repository, there is a more easy way to do this. So create that scale-out backup repository you want to use. Make sure the data in it is empty. Then go to Cloud Connect, go to your tenant and the properties, and add that scale-out backup repository as a new cloud repository. Rename the old one to old. Contact all your tenants and tell them that they have, for example, a couple of weeks, months to migrate all their backup jobs to the new cloud repository, abandoning the old cloud repository, and when retention has run out, you can easily remove it here and delete the data physically. This is the manual way of going directly to a scale-out backup repository without contacting Veeam support. If you don't want that, you can contact Veeam support. We have a script that maps all those tenants, all those subfolders to a new scale-out backup repository, and after that script has run, everything is rescanned. Clients, tenants will start using the scale-out backup repository. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. The second thing I wanted to show you is the seal and maintenance mode. So, but before we're going to do that, as you can see, we have the scale-out backup repository here. Let's first go to all those files that reside on those folders. As you can see, we have data backups. Let me put it a little bit down below. We have data backups customer 1, backup copy job to Veeam Cloud Connect, backup job VMware. We have the same here, but with a different folder structure in, and you can see one VM goes to one extent, the other VM goes to the other extent. But what happens if we put one of those extents in maintenance mode? Let's do the first repository, so where the Linux server resides. When I put that in sealed mode, you get a warning that if you put this in sealed mode, we will create an active full. Do you want to do that? Yes, I want. Then the process goes in sealed mode, and we go back to those backup jobs that reside here. Sealed mode is done, and now we have to wait until the new backup run comes, and we can see that we will create a full file at the second extent, because this extent is in sealed mode and can't be used to write new backup files. As you can see, the backup copy job, backup job VMware, has just started, and in this job there are those two VMs that we saw on extent 1 and extent 2. So let's switch over to the Cloud Connect server and see what's happening there. As you can see, we are creating a full backup file of Linux server. Takes some time, so bear with me. As you can see, the job is almost finished. So we are back on the Veeam backup and replication server. Job is almost finished. Let's switch back to the Cloud Connect server. As you can see, we have an incremental and we have a full file for Linux server. Now, let's exit the sealed mode here and put the other one in sealed mode or in maintenance mode. Better yet, we put it in maintenance mode, and we will evacuate the backups. So maintenance mode, let's give it a couple seconds, and we're done. And then we do evacuate backups. Backups will be evacuated to the following extents. You can see that we're evacuating backup repository 2. Do you want to continue? Yes. Depending on how large your extents are, this will take some time because it will copy out all the data. In my example, it doesn't take that long, and we are waiting to evacuate 25 backup files. How does that look on disk? Let's go to the disks. So we have backup folder 2, extent 2, and we have extent 1. What now will happen is that we are copying all that data that resides here to there. As you can see, there are already some jobs, some files that are being moved. Give it a couple of minutes because it takes some time. But as you can see, we are slowly getting rid of all the files on the right, and everything gets moved to the left. When it's done, it will tell you that it's done. And we can close this job. See, everything is moved to this extent. Only the metadata of the job remains here. And from customer perspective, everything kept on working because at this moment a backup copy job is running and will produce the latest backup files. We'll copy the latest backup files. Give it a couple of seconds. You can see it started copying at 1428. Let's see what's on the disk of the Cloud Connect server. 1428, so the new backup files are residing on this extent and no longer on the other extent. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.